Hello, Steve Mills here, and welcome to this podcast, should I say. It's great to be back with you and sharing again some tried, tested and proven ways. I've already provided you with some fantastic content in terms of giving you access to my Raise Your Game program. This is a program I developed, it was many years ago. It's actually on CD, not on cassette, as somebody tried to tell me. I'm not that old. Actually, I am, but it was on CD. And so I thought I'd turn it into podcast. So this is episode number 6. I hope you enjoy it. And even more than that, I hope you benefit from it. So thank you very much. Without further ado, here we go. Hello, my name's Steve Mills and I'd like to once again welcome you to the Raise Your Game program. As usual, I'm here to share with you some tried, tested and proven ideas to massively grow your business. I don't have all the answers, but what I do have is over 28 years experience. And I also have some great questions to get you really thinking about your business. As usual, the program covers strategy, online and offline marketing, as well as sales. But first, how did you get on last month? Did you test prices? Did you use the CAN-I system, the principle of constant and never-ending improvement? If you did, what have you improved so far? Did you use the Focus 5 to help you improve the effectiveness of yourself and your team? Are you using towards and away from motivation in your marketing? Because if you're not doing all those things, then you're not maximizing the program. As I've said before, it's all about getting the very best return on investment from your time, money and effort. Learning stuff is useful, but it's the application of what you learn that's going to make a difference to your business. It's applying the ideas and principles that we shared last month within your business that's going to make you more money, more cash and more profit, which is what marketing is all about. So this month I'm going to talk about various things. Once again, I'm going to start off by talking to you about systems. I'm going to also talk to you about business development, and I'm going to try, if I can, to help you to start working on your business as well as in it, because that's an area that I think so many businesses suffer from. You know, I have a whole variety of different clients that I work with and coach, help and mentor. And one of the biggest difficulties that I have as a marketing person is getting them to prioritize. You know, it's so easy, I think, as a small business owner to get incredibly busy, to get busy what I call operationally. In other words, doing the work of the business. And if you're spending all or a significant amount of your time working in your business, carrying out the work, then who's doing the job of the managing director? Who's doing the job of the marketing director? And also, who's doing the job of the finance director? These are really key areas in all small businesses, and an area that I believe is neglected by 95% of them. I'm going to start by talking to you about systems. In a business, there are 3 different types of systems. The first systems are what I call your soft systems. These are your system of how you answer the phone, a system of how you put together your marketing information, a system of how you greet customers, a system of how you sell to people, a system of how you overcome all the different objections to your proposition when you're in a sales meeting. In other words, all the simple little things that you do in your business consistently. Because if you do it and it varies, it's going to make a massive difference to you. For example, If you get an opportunity to win business from referral and you go about it in a certain way and a member of your team goes about it in a totally different way and the third member of your team goes about it in another way, then you have no soft system. You have no system for winning business from referral. And it's costing you money. I almost guarantee it, because somebody is going to be better at it than somebody else. And if they had a system, if they had a written system, this is the way we do it here, this is how we ask for business from referral, then you're going to get the maximum return on investment. And it's the same with every other soft system in your business. How do you deal with the objection? Well, I'm sorry, but I think that's too expensive. Or I want to think about it. Or, I need to speak to someone else. Or, I'm going to get 2 other quotes before I make my mind up. How do you deal with them? Not only that, but how does your business deal with them? How do you make sure that you turn as many of those opportunities as possible? And that's what an objection is. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to find out more. It's an opportunity to find out what's wrong. So think about your soft systems in your business. Have you got any? What are they? What ones haven't you got that you need? So think about all the different things that you need to do. You then need to think about what I call your hard systems. This is the way your business looks. How's your business look when someone drives up to your office or into your retail shop or whatever it is? When you actually meet a person, what do you look like? How do you dress? How do you come across? All the hard systems within your business, the way your meeting room looks, the pictures on the wall, the colour of absolutely everything within your business makes a difference. People judge you by these things, rightly or wrongly. They do. They walk into your building and they form an impression about you. Why is it that, some of these top companies, I went into Microsoft, I was speaking at an event in Microsoft last Tuesday, and their offices were absolutely awesome. But I've been into various Microsoft buildings, and they're always incredibly modern, full of glass, looking lots of silver on the walls and smoke glass and stuff, because these things are important. Microsoft spend an inordinate amount of money getting the feel of their buildings and how they look and use of bright colours and things like that. It's all part of their image. It's all part of their branding. So think about your own sort of personal branding. What do you look like? What are your hard systems? And what could you do to try and improve them? Last but not least is what I call your information systems. These really are all about understanding whether your soft systems and your hard systems are working or not. So it's all about measuring those. It's about measuring those systems to see if they're working or see if they're not. So what information systems do you have in your business? Do you have information like the number of inquiries that come into your business? The information like how many of those inquiries do you turn into sales? Do you know how much it costs you to acquire a customer in the first place? Do you know what your average unit of sale is? Or what about your lifetime value? How much is a customer worth to you once they become a customer, become a client? If on average they buy from you once a month, and on average they spend £200, and on average they stay with you 5 years, you can easily work out what that customer's worth throughout the lifetime value. Once you know that, you can actually start to work out, well, how much can I afford to spend to acquire that customer in the first place? This, I believe, gives you an unlimited marketing budget. It enables you to spend as much money as you like on marketing, because the cost of acquiring a customer is £200. And the lifetime value, once you get them on board and they become a customer, on average, is £10,000. Who wouldn't be happy just to acquire customers? Much better way than allocating an amount of money for marketing. So maybe there's something to think about there. The next thing I'd like to talk about is goals. Now, I mentioned last month on the Raise Your Game programme about setting goals, and instead of calling them goals, calling them promises I made to myself. I really think that's a great way of looking at it. And what I'm going to do for you with this particular version of Raise Your Game, I'm going to send you through what I call a goal-setting template. So I'm really passionate about goals. I really believe that if you know where you're going, then you've got more chance of getting there. And, now's a great time of year to do this. I'm recording this just before Christmas. So, a lot of people start to think about their goals. They start to think about their goals around about New Year's Eve. But what actually happens? They set a few goals. They're generally almost daydreams. They don't put together a plan to achieve them. And, by February, they've done absolutely nothing with it. I go down the gym and every year I know that come January, the gym's going to be full of people. And I also know by February, it's going to be back to normal. Why is that? Because they don't have big enough, strong enough, driven enough goals. So what I want you to do is I want you to try and set for yourself 101 goals. Now, when I did this, I thought, wow, okay, I'm really goal-driven. I'm going to be able to do this. And I got to 30 goals, 40 goals, 50 goals, 70, 80 goals. And I really started to slow down. I was really having difficulty. So actually completing this and getting to 101, not 100, not 99, 101 goals. That's what I want you to try to set for yourself for next year. Not necessarily that you're going to achieve them all next year, but I want you to set them as a start, to start working on them next year. And then you might want to prioritize those goals, but you might also think, this is not necessarily just about business, it's about you. Because, why are you in business? It's to improve your life, And you need to think about that. So think about what I'd call your categories of improvement. What do I mean by that? Well, if you divided your life up into two categories, your professional life and your personal life. Your personal life could be things like your health, your fitness, your relationships, maybe your knowledge, certainly your finances, all those types of things. On a professional front, you might have your marketing, your sales skills, your knowledge of your products and the services that you provide, the knowledge of your industries that you market into. You may have, what about your knowledge of social networking? So you have various categories of improvement. So think about that when you're setting your goals. I'd like to now talk to you about two words that I believe could change your business forever. And I heard these two words spoken recently by a gentleman called Michael Gerber. Many of you will have heard of Gerber through his book, The E-Myth. The E-Myth, Why Most Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It. If you've not read The E-Myth, I strongly recommend you do so, and I'm sure you can buy it at Amazon or any other sort of leading bookstore. The E-Myth's a fantastic book, and in it he talks about these two words. He talks about having the intention and having the attention. Gerber describes these as having the intention to move something, to improve something, to develop, and having the attention to focus on all the different areas of a business. I'll give you a very simple example. Let's take social networking. Most business owners, I believe, have got the intention to actually set themselves up on social networking. I think most business owners have done so. I speak to business owners and they say, oh yeah, I'm on Refer-On and LinkedIn, and I've also got a presence on Facebook. So they've got some intention to do it, but they don't really do it. All they do is they set their profile up and they sit back, and 2, 3, 4 months later, they've actually won no business whatsoever from those particular streams. What we need then is to make sure that we pay attention. In other words, we take the time. We improve our knowledge. If I asked you, on a scale of 1 to 10 at this moment in time, how much do you know about social networking, using the social network to market and win business? Now, if you're like 99% of all business owners, it's probably very little. And yet, you've probably got a presence on at least one of those websites, and you've done very little with it. And I just hallucinate that that's the situation. So you need to pay it some attention. You have got to learn how to do this. I was listening personally to a webinar the other day by a lady who's one of the top experts in the world. And she said that social networking, social media is going to overtake websites inside the next 2 or 3 years. And I certainly believe that this is now is the time. This is really important for you guys to start to actually move forward with. If you're not doing this, you need to do it. You need to have the intention to try to develop social networking skills. You have got to become better at this. If you don't, you're going to get left behind. I have a saying that I've used many times, that if you always do what you've always done, then you'll always get what you've always got. And try saying that when you've had a few. But on a serious note, if you don't have the intention to do something about this, in a few years' time, this is going to cost you money. You therefore need to have the attention. You must improve your knowledge. You need to get to know more about this. I'm going to be doing something at some point in the next couple of months in terms of a seminar on it. So by all means, check out our website and there'll be something on it. There's no dates yet. There's nothing planned at this moment in time. But please check out our website at max-marketing.co.uk, and I'm sure there'll be something on it in the next few weeks. So think about this. Think about how you can use these 2 words to change your business forever. The intention and attention to every single thing within your business. Gerber also talks about another 3 words: innovation, quantification, and orchestration. Innovation, again, is changing the little things. If you took an advert, change the headline. You could change the headline and increase the effectiveness of the advert by 10, 20, 40, 100%, increasing the number of leads just by changing the headline. We could change the copy. We could change the layout of it. We could change the size of it. We could change the location of it. We could change the call to action, the actual order. We could change the use of pictures or the colour of it, or a whole variety of different things that you can change and test to maximise it, to get the best return on your time and investment. We then need to make sure that you quantify. So if you're going to change the headline, you need to know whether inquiries are going to go up or whether they're going to go down. So you need to make sure that you quantify what's working and what's not, and you need to make sure that you use orchestration to manage that whole process and constantly and never-endingly improve it. So systems are the solution. Systems are really important within your business. You need to make sure your business is what I'd call systems-driven and not people-driven. It's not about you knowing how to close a sale. It's about your business having a system for closing a sale. It's not about you being really good at winning business from referral. It's about everybody in your team winning business from referral, because you've got a great system for doing just that. It's about your training system. It's about your management system. It's about your marketing system. And it's certainly about your sales system. What is your sales system? Do you have one? Or does it just sort of happen? When somebody calls, what actually happens within your business? What do? You speak to them on the phone, and you're going to go through hopefully a system of questions that you've already got because you've analysed and checked and you found the best system for doing that. Then you're going to send them an email, maybe with some information on it. Now, does that vary? Is it just dependent on what I happen to say at the time, or is it, a template that always gets sent with the same information on it? So what happens then? Do you follow up? How often do you follow up? How do you follow up? When you get into a meeting, what actually happens then? Do you have a system in place that will create a 75% conversion rate? Because if you don't, and you did, that would make a massive difference to your business. Okay, so we come to the Expert of the Month section now, and I'd like to introduce you to a speaker who, in my opinion, is without doubt one of the leading speakers, teachers, coaches, business development and personal development experts in the world. He's an American. He's a gentleman who's worked with some of the leading experts in the world, some of the real famous people that you and I know. He's also worked with people who are really down on their luck and have come through difficult circumstances. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's a gentleman called Anthony Robbins. And Robbins produced a fantastic audio program called The Power to Influence. The Power to Influence People, which I believe is what sales is all about. It's about influence. How am I going to influence someone to utilize my services? I believe in a very ethical way. So sit back, relax, and draw your own conclusions listening to Anthony Robbins.
So what really makes people buy? What makes us do anything? You just watch some commercials. Commercials are $1 billion business. They really affect the way we think, what we buy, what we eat, what we dress, what we wear. They're the primary source of influence in our society. Many people believe, maybe even more than our schooling system. The average child today, by the time they're 18 years old, have spent more time in front of a television set being exposed to these programming devices or these selling devices than they have literally been in school itself. So it might be useful to see for organizations to spend that much money and time, what do they believe the process of influence really is? What is the science of persuasion? And I'm here to tell you that it's not probably what you and I were traditionally taught. Traditional sales taught me, at least, that what you're supposed to do is find somebody's needs, and of course you knew what those were before you arrived, and what you're supposed to do is fill those needs, and by filling those needs, the customer would buy. That's true, and it's not true. Like a lot of things in white, maybe it's not quite as black and white as that. I would say to you that people don't really buy needs per se. At least that's not what they buy first. What people really buy are wants. Think about it. There are a lot of needs people have, but they still don't do anything about it. We don't do anything about it till we really want something, till we're motivated. I believe that selling is the process of motivation. That literally, if you watch a commercial, it is a motivational device designed to influence your behavior, and it is extremely successful. That's why they run them over and over and over again. Whether it be that traditional image that you see of AT&T, where you reach out and touch somebody, or whether it be something like Share now promoting, holiday health spas. All of these things have one thing in common that I want you and I to really take a look at in this particular tape, and that is, how long does it really take to influence people? And what is the actual process in reality compared to what you and I have been taught? Because there is a rather big difference. And that big difference, I think, is seeing that influence happens in a moment. It doesn't happen through a 45-minute sales presentation. It's like all those things in the sales presentation set up a moment or two where a person all of a sudden links up in their head that this is something they really want desperately, that it relates to a deep desire, and they can justify it. And those are the two elements we're going to talk about. How to build tremendous want for your product, and how to be able to let people know that they want to be able to justify getting it. And as I said in the first tape, and I'll remind you of this, and I'll probably say this a lot, if you get people to want something bad enough, they'll usually find a way to justify it with just a little bit of help from you. So what is the process? What makes us not only buy, but literally do anything? The answer is really simple. Everything we do for a reason or a series of reasons. But what kind of reasons do we use? The primary motivating factor behind all human behavior is the desire to avoid pain and the desire or need to gain pleasure. Those two twin forces are what drive all human behavior. Everything you do is some description or some outlay of that particular idea. I'll take something simple. Ladies in the audience, raise your hand if you're wearing makeup. Come on, raise your hand. People notice. Good. Now, I got a question for you. Why are you wearing makeup today? Did you wake up this morning and think to yourself, God, I love this process. I just can't wait to put this stuff on. I doubt it. One woman here with drugs, but everybody else is okay. Okay? But how many of you woke up this morning and you didn't really want to put on your makeup? It was early or coming to class, but you decide, well, I'm going to put it on because by putting it on, what it would mean to me is, I feel better about myself. Or what it means is people will feel more attracted to me or think I look better. How many of you did it for that reason? Okay, you too, raise your hand. I see you there. Okay. And how many of you, though, didn't do it for those reasons? You thought, I don't want to do this. In fact, you thought, how come men don't have to do this? But you thought, I better do it because if I don't, somebody's going to say, what happened to your face? How many did it for that reason? Come on. So we do things in life for one of two reasons. We either do it to gain pleasure or avoid pain, and sometimes, obviously, a combination of the two. But those are the twin forces of motivation for all human behavior. So if you and I want to persuade someone of anything, we have to understand that people don't just do things because we tell them to. People do things for reasons. In other words, people have to associate the action of buying to creating tremendous pleasure and the action of not buying to creating pain. That is the master formula to persuasion. Traditionally, what people think of is, even if they think of selling as something like motivation, they try and get somebody really pumped up and they say, gosh, if you get this, you'll get all these benefits. But I'm here to tell you that you can't just have somebody motivated out of their desire to want. You've also got to have them associate in their mind, actually feel that not buying would be painful. What do I mean painful? That they would be missing something, that they would be losing, that they would be alone, any emotional wound or hurt. Because I want you to know this, and I know this sounds horrible, but I believe the best study of life is how it is, not how we think it should be. And the best study of life is this, in my opinion. In everything that I've researched or studied, people will do more to avoid pain than they will ever do to get pleasure. I'll give you a classic example. Which are you more motivated to do? Save $1,000 or keep someone from stealing $1,000 that's in your pocket? I would suggest to you that for most people, they're going to try and hang on to what they've got. They're going to try and avoid what they would consider to be losing or pain. So what we're going to talk about then is how can we create these twin motivations happening and do it with integrity and do it with elegance. I'm not talking about manipulating somebody or lying to them or showing them something that's not there. I'm talking about assisting them in getting what they want by utilizing the most powerful force within them for creating change. Now, when I'm talking about this, what we're really talking about then in terms of emotions is we're talking about consequences. You and I, as salespeople, as persuaders, must sell consequences. Positive consequences if someone does well, in other words, the heaven if you do, and negative consequences if they don't. Now, we can't be so blatant to come out and just say that, because if you just come out and say that, the prospect will go, you're just trying to sell me. So there is a process to get to this point. Obviously, one, that prospects can have some questions in their mind. Question number one they're probably going to have is, do you really have their best interest in mind? Can they trust you? Are you here just to make a sale? When you say something, is it, being filtered through your needs and desires, or is it really about them? And that's why when we get into the actual step-by-step sales process, I'm going to teach you 10 steps to sales mastery. And of course, one of those will be able to create that incredible bond where people know who you are, that you're not just some person popping around here who's just kind of cramming a sale, but you're a professional who definitely cares. And if you can't meet their needs, you're not going to. You're going to get a great referral and help somebody you can help and make a great friend in the process. And if they get that and know that, that'll eliminate that first question. The next questions they're going to have in their mind are, well, what is this? What's in it for me? And what has to happen for them to get persuaded is they must link in their mind or associate they're going to get what they want most in the world through this product. Let me give you an example then. If I said to you, would you please go jump off a cliff? All right? What are you going to do? Well, probably, unless you're in a deep trance, you probably say, well, what are you, crazy? I'm not going to do this. Why not? There's only one reason. You associate to jumping off a cliff negative consequences, pain, a form of pain, like death, for example. And so sure enough, you're not going to go for it. If I said to you, would you please go kiss Tom Selleck if you're a woman, or would you please go kiss some extremely attractive woman? I don't think of any of those because I have a wife who I totally love. And which is true. And the bottom line, though, is if you had some ultimate man or woman in your mind, and I said, would you please go kiss that person? How many of you want to do it? Let me see your show of hands there. Oh, come on, raise your hand. I see. Make sure you're paying attention here. Good. The bottom line is, the reason you're willing to do that is you would associate what to it? Pleasure. Now, if I said, I want you to kiss them, but while you're there, your spouse is right next to you watching very closely. Now you got another association. My point is what the meaning of what something's going to feel for you, whether it's going to mean pain or whether it's going to mean pleasure, will determine how you're going to behave. But here's what's interesting. Meaning is something that's learned. We've learned to link or associate certain feelings to certain situations. For example, how many of you like to have, let's say, a Mercedes-Benz? How many like to have one of those? Not quite a few of you. Good. So isn't it amazing how I can see your hands going up? This is pretty exciting, isn't it? Seriously. Question. Why do you want a Mercedes-Benz? Why do you want one? Tell me. Think about it. And the answers I usually get are things like, well, because, it's the best. And I'm the best, so I want the best. Or somebody will say something like, well, because the feeling it'll give me. Or somebody will say, well, because it's good transportation. Right? The reality is, people don't buy needs. When you go to buy a Mercedes, you're not buying because you need a Mercedes. Now, the truth is, if you want something bad enough, it becomes a need, doesn't it? But the point is that a person buys a Mercedes. Now, not all people want them, by the way. You didn't all raise your hands. Some people don't. They go, what are you, stupid? I wouldn't want a Mercedes. I want a Hyundai. Why? Because, for that Mercedes, I could have 16 Hyundais. Right? Why would I do that? That would be stupid. Now, one person would not buy a Mercedes because they associate buying a Mercedes is wasteful. It's stupid, which are forms of words we might call painful. Does that make sense? We have different words for pain. There are different levels of pain. Pain could be physical pain. It could be humiliation. It could be, pain of frustration. It could be the pain of inconvenience. And some are more painful than others. That person thinks having a Mercedes would mean having this big payment, let's say, and that inconvenience and hassle, or it'd be not being intelligent, be wasteful. So they're not going to do it. They're going to do a Hyundai because what do they want? They want a feeling of being intelligent. Okay? The person who wants a Mercedes, they got a whole different thing. They want prestige. They want knowing they're the best. They want other people to notice. They want status, let's say. So my point is this. That in selling, we cannot just assume we know what's going to be painful for one person and pleasurable for another. The part of the process of selling, obviously, then is finding out that person's beliefs and values. Finding out what do they link to things. See, when you walk in the room and if you introduce yourself and say, hey, I'm a salesperson, guess what? Boom, instantly a lot of people have certain states they associate to salespeople that are less than pleasurable. They may associate salesperson equals pushy person who doesn't care and tries to manipulate me. And no matter who you are, immediately they get that feeling and they want to avoid being around you. So it's not personal, right? What you got to do, though, is change what people associate in order to change their behavior. So if you're trying to market a particular product, let's say, for example, I bought recently a 750iL BMW. And the reason I did it is, first of all, I needed a new car. No. I had a Mercedes-Benz, and, I've had it for a while, and I was kind of bored with it, and, the time was up on it. I had a lease on it. And I thought, well, I need to go get a new car. So I went to the Mercedes-Benz dealership, walked on in, looked at the car, 560 SEL, the same car. There was nothing really different on it, in my opinion, for me. It just didn't feel different to me. So I didn't feel any new wants being triggered. Are you following me? There was nothing there. It was like the same car, a little bigger engine and everything else, and it's going to cost me $20,000 more. So what am I associating to this? I'm associating more pain to buying than not buying. And you might want to make a note of that. If a person does not buy, it's really simply because of this. They associate more pain to buying than not buying. And if a person does buy, it's because they associate much more pleasure to buying than not buying. Buying means pleasure, not buying means pain. That's how to get someone to buy. Buying means pain, and not buying means pleasure is a way to make sure they do not follow through. Are you following me on these? So here I go, and I go to the dealership, and there's no want in me. I don't have a need. I don't have a pain. I don't have a problem to solve. I already have this car. I'm already satisfied. And what I'd like you to realize is that in order to get someone to do anything, in order to motivate them, what you really got to be able to do is get them to a point where they're dissatisfied with the way things are. Think about it. If somebody is overweight and they're not changing, it's because they're not dissatisfied enough. Your job and my job in working with people is to find out what are their strong wants. Show them they're not getting it so they get dissatisfied enough. They feel a little hurt. They go, gosh, I really do want this. I really do want to be thin. I really do want to have something that's the best. And it becomes so strong that now they're compelled to really make a change. That is, make a purchase. That is, do something about it. If somebody just stays overweight, it's because no one has come in there and hurt them. I believe, and I know this doesn't sound great, and it may sound like, if you know me, different than how I think, but again, I think this is really the truth, that selling is the process of finding people's pain, disturbing them, stirring up their pain, making them feel the hurt, and then healing it through new sets of choices, usually in the form of your products or services. It's a hurt them and heal them business. If you doubt it, watch a commercial. Watch AT&T. That commercial, the Reach Out and Touch Me commercial, has made them more money and been more successful than any commercial they ever did. Why does it work? Because in that commercial, they don't go, call your mother. They don't do that. They don't go, I know you miss your mother, call her. That's not what they do. What they do is they get you to associate tremendous pain to not calling her and what? Pleasure to calling her. How do they do it? In a few minutes, they go in this commercial, and the first thing they do is they stab you. They have your mom there, or the representation of your mom there going, gosh, I haven't talked to my son in so long, and he probably doesn't even care. Pain. And they don't just say, call your mother, they stick a knife in there and turn it, right? So you feel it real good. They want you to feel it because people do things for emotional reasons and they justify them with logic. We don't do things for logical reasons. We do them for emotional reasons. So the bottom line is they got you emotional now and they got you having some pain. So now you're what? You're motivated. You're definitely motivated to make a change, and they show you how you can heal the wound. And how do you heal it? By picking up this piece of plastic and using a line called AT&T. And sure enough, they give you the pleasure. They make you associate pleasure to making that call. And sure enough, in some sections of the country, AT&T increased the number of long-distance calls more than 500%. And the reason some sections of the country is, well, we'll talk about that when we talk about values. But certain people have certain values that particular commercial triggers. In other words, it triggers a stronger want than other people. The point is, that is the process.
So, I hoped you liked listening to Anthony Robbins. What did you think about his towards and away from motivation? How could you use it in your sales and marketing? If you want to know more about Anthony Robbins, then please click onto Google and type his name in. There's loads of stuff. He's also got some fantastic videos on YouTube, and he's got some wonderful stuff. He really is a master at influence, at personal development, business development, and I strongly recommend you listen to him. If you ever get a chance to see him live, that's such a fantastic thing to do, and I really, really recommend you spend some time listening to Robbins on audio, on YouTube, and as I say, if you can get to see him live, then absolutely brilliant. The next section I'm going to talk about is the law of reciprocation. Again, such a massive area that not 1 in 100 businesses really maximizes. There's a law. It's a fundamental thing in our psychology that if I give you something, if I offer you something, if I give you something free, if I help you in some way, then you're more likely to reciprocate. That's the way we're built. That doesn't mean to say that, if I give you something, then you will definitely give me something back. It doesn't always work like that, but it certainly increases the likelihood. You'll notice, in our marketing, if you receive our marketing information, which I would imagine most of you do, a lot of the stuff that I give, I give stuff away. I give ideas. And people say to me sometimes, well, why do you keep giving all this useful information, Steve? And I say, well, because I'm constantly learning new stuff, so, it's never going to run out. And I believe in, giving information. And at some point, if I can help those people, the people who've received that free information, those great ideas from Steve, at some point, I might be able to help them. Who are they going to go to? Are you going to just go onto Google and type in marketing advice and, take the risk on someone? Or are you going to go to the guy who's been sending you tips and advice and been helping you for many years with your marketing? I don't know about you, but I hallucinate that you might go to that person. So my question to you is, what could you do to increase the amount of reciprocation that you get with your business? Could you give a free book? Could you write a book yourself and give it? Could you give free advice? Could you give a free report? What could you give that might induce reciprocation? One of the things that I do pretty often is if I have a meeting with a client, at the end of that meeting, I'll say something like, thank you ever so much for your time. I really appreciate it because I know you're a busy man or a busy lady. What I'd like to do is to give you a copy of a book that I wrote called 228 Ways to Grow Your Business, just as a thank you for your time. Now, what does that do? Well, it does two things to me. Firstly, it induces the law of reciprocation. All things being equal, if that company's got a choice between client A, client B, and client C to help them with their marketing, who they're going to go to? A or B, or the person C who gave them this, nice book? The other thing, it's great as a positioning tool. People perceive, because I've written a book on marketing, that I must know what I'm talking about. Now, hopefully I do, but it's not necessarily true. Anybody can write a book. You could write a book on marketing tomorrow. You just have to spend the time and effort to learn all the things. So, don't regard it as, something incredible. It's something that you could do. But as I say, going back to my question, think about the law of reciprocation. How could you induce that? What could you give? What could you do to help people in order to grow your business? Next month, then, we're going to be covering maximization, really. I'm going to be looking at the primary motivating factor behind all human behavior. I'm going to be looking at winning business from online social marketing. I'm going to be talking about something called verisimilitude, which is a fantastic word that I heard from Peter Thompson on a weekend seminar that I spent with him, and how that affects what you do in terms of your marketing. We're going to talk about price, how to defend price, and how to overcome objections. It's all very well getting loads of leads. What really matters is how many of those you turn into sales. So I'm going to be talking to you and giving a good session on how to win more business from the leads that you've got, how to turn those objections into commitments. We're going to be talking about the power of testimonials, how to get more testimonials, and how to use those in your marketing. Again, such a massive area that most businesses overlook. At best, they've got a page on their website with some testimonials on. And very few people ever look at that page, but it is there. Most people actually have a few testimonials that are in a drawer somewhere in their office. So how do you really maximize that? And we're going to look at how to use testimonials to massively increase your conversion rates. That's just about it for this edition of Raise Your Game. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. But most of all, I hope you use the ideas you've learned to grow your business. As this is Christmas, we're going to finish in a slightly different way. We're going to trail out with Aquaplanage and their track One Star. Thank you very much for listening and have a very Merry Christmas. And may I wish you a truly outstanding next year. Hi, Steve back live with you now. It's a bit early for Merry Christmas. I'm recording this in, I think it's September, so a little bit early. It was a little bit of a shock to me when the Christmas music started. I'd forgotten that I changed that this particular month, but I'm sure it didn't really make any difference to you. It was interesting just, sat listening to that. I was sort of half working and half listening to it at the same time. And there really is some gems in there, isn't there? I know it's quite a long podcast, this one, over 40 minutes. But it's always, I believe, always about what you do with what you learn that makes the difference. Listening to the podcast and thinking, that was interesting, ain't going to win you any more business. What wins your business is when you go, that was interesting, and I'm going to implement that, and I'm going to test different ways of doing it, and I'm going to improve it, and I'm going to get it as good as I possibly can, and hopefully it'll make you many, many, many thousands of pounds in additional unforeseen profit. So that's it for this week's podcast. What I'd love you to do right now is to sign up for my podcast if you've not already done so. Subscribe, download it, set it up on your phone so you can listen anytime. Also, I'd really appreciate it if you could share the link to this particular podcast, share it on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you are. I'd really appreciate it if you do that. You might also want to follow my YouTube channel so you get all my latest videos as well as podcasts. So that's it. Thank you ever so much for listening, and look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thank you.